Hello, Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders. Overseer Kyle here, and you are joining me for a new episode of our Vault Broadcast podcast, our Fallout talk show interview podcast, where I sit down with creators from all across the Fallout fandom, whether they're prop creators, cosplayers, digital creators that make podcasts, or many other things. And that latter category is going to apply to today's episode. We are talking to Jeff of Wasteland Free Radio, and it is a really cool show that I've been checking out for the last week or so. I caught some of the early episodes, I caught some of the more recent episodes, and I'm excited to hear Jeff tell us all about the meat and potatoes in between. I really respect creators who put a lot of work into their audio landscapes and that's probably the word for it, audio landscape, the music mastery, the sound effects. It's just really great, and it reminds me of an old-fashioned radio drama brought to the new era, and I love it. I do want to get some housekeeping, though, before we get to the jump ahead here, and it's to remind people you can find all of our links at this one below, overseerkyle.com. You can find the TikTok, the Instagram, the Substack, which is our newsletter. You can find the website proper, because, well, that's what it is, and it has links to everything, our TTRPG, our other games that we do. And do I have that promo screen? Look at me being a little early, but out of frame. Hi. Look at all the things we've got going on here. Tales from Tomorrow, Overseer's Log, Case Review. That bottom row is all our Fallout TTRPG, like tabletop games. Think Dungeons and Dragons. And then that top row, Vault Broadcast, the Overseer Kyle YouTube channel, and our Fallout 76 say that again. Our Fallout 76 crafting fair, where we meet up with people in-game and just try and build some community. There's some exciting news coming to this show Friday nights, which is going to have a tie-in with actual Fallout 76. So get ready, get your games loaded. We're going to do some round tables with some of our guests from this series. People that come by and do a one-on-one are going to later be invited back to do a round table discussion where we tackle Fallout news, some hot button things in the community, whatever comes to our minds, whatever people really want to talk about, that's going to be the place for us. If you want to grab a copy of the TTRPG for yourself or any of the beautiful minifigs that you paint, you can use this code BTAILS at checkout on the Modifia shop to save yourself 10%. But this community is maybe a little less focused on the TTRPG. However, you're all here for Fallout, so why not enjoy a whopping 20% off the Bethesda Gear shop as you go check out many new goodies. Look, I got this one from the Fizz Kit bundle. This came recently, this shirt, so I'm being festive today. You rarely see me out of black, but here it is. Here it is wearing my red Nuka-Cola shirt. You could save yourself 20% off of any orders you make up there using our code VAULT2, and that will save you 20%, gives us a good kickback. And if you want to support the show further, you can go up to our coffee page, ko-fi.com/Overseer Kyle, where you can become a monthly member or a one-time donation. It all is awesome. Anything people could do, sharing the show, word of mouth, leaving that comment below, and giving a thumbs up truly make all the difference on YouTube. So again, everyone, thank you for doing that. And we got a thing to tease you with in the near future. I've talked call-ins in the past, like people leaving voicemails that we could have added into the shows. I had a great friend, Vendor Hunt 76, in fact, DJ Danny Rand, recommend that we set up an Instagram account to catch those. So if that interests you, look out for it. A way for people from all across the Fallout fandom to call in, get their voice in this show or another in the future. We'll see. But anyway, I'll leave it here. I'm going to throw it to future Kyle as he sits down with Jeff in just a moment. Catch you then. Hello, everyone. Overseer Kyle here, and I am sitting down with Jeff from Wasteland Free Radio. I want to thank you, Jeff, for taking the time out of your day, coming down to sit with me, because this is a fantastic show. I think people who are huge Fallout fans and people who are post-apocalyptic nerds from all different walks of life will get a kick out of this. And it reminds me of other podcasts I've heard years ago, and I want to get into inspirations behind this. I want to get into the nerdy aspects of how you chose this universe. But again, first, without overwhelming you, a kind welcome to the show, Jeff. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, Overseer. I'm happy to be here. I feel nice and safe in this bunker.
Good. We always try. We try and keep the raiders on the outside, but every once in a while they slip through. So keep your laser pistol or something handy, just as a warning. Your show, Wasteland Free Radio, and I'm going to flip it up here on the side so people can see it, is a wonderful podcast going into a post-apocalyptic landscape with beautiful sound design. I am such a sucker for that. There's something really nostalgic in my heart to, I guess, a life I didn't live, and that's listening to all the old-timey radios. We hear those radio dramas brought to life in Fallout through various holotapes. And we're kind of even seeing maybe a resurgence of that across YouTube. So can we talk a little bit about your first steps into this space? What was the inception behind a show like Wasteland Free Radio?
All right, so this gets real deep real fast.
Sure.
I grew up extremely religious, like doomsday cult Christianity religious.
Wow.
And yeah, I could tell you all the end times prophecies like by heart. And I'm sure this is like my processing that a little bit, but I've always loved post-apocalyptic media. It's been part of my I've consumed it for as long as I can remember. The Postman was one of the first ones that really stuck out as a great film to me as a kid. And looking back, it's a solid 5.5 out of 10. But it still informed my art like a lot. So I just kind of always consumed it, and I built this world in my head of what would a world I could survive look like, because I'm not that tough. I'm not someone that'll survive in the Mad Max world. Like, that's not me at all. But I can do it if it's like weird. And Fallout is one of those things I found where I was like, whoa, oh, this is as weird as I want to make it, but I can also make it kind of linear and realistic. And so once I kind of played through those and I watched the show Jericho, that's another one that really stuck out from like 2007. Didn't age well acting wise, but it's a pretty good story. And I wanted to write a book. I wanted to make a movie. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, well, I'm an audio guy by trade. I do sound for a living. I have everything I need to just make it an audio drama. That's what I'll do. So like Welcome to Night Vale is a good example of like the medium I went with. And then I looked at things like the Prairie Home Companion series from Garrison Keillor that I grew up with. It's like a live radio show with live sound effects and stuff. It's a little problematic, I think, now based on Garrison Keillor, the guy. But and then I took all the science fiction I could possibly take in. There's even a little bit of Star Trek in it with like the weird science, and I'm being a little loose with science the entire time. And then I was like, well, who's going to tell the story? Oh, he's just going to be some lonely kid in his bedroom with a microphone, and that's where it came from.
That is amazing. It is very deep right off the bat. Doomsday cult stuff. Did
Oh
not
yeah,
see that coming.
yeah. We're
But
not
right
going to
before
go down that rabbit hole now, but we can later.
that's totally fair. Before the show, we found out we're both giant Star Trek nerds, so that weird science is absolutely something. And I will just chime in with an own personal thing to say. You mentioned this with Fallout. I do feel like this is a special genre of post-apocalyptic. I traditionally kind of veer away from post-apocalyptic, kind of veer away from like hardcore zombie stuff too. Not out of fear or even like some dislike of it. I feel like it might be just that it's a little sometimes too close to home, that those stories we're telling through science fiction and all that fiction type are reflections of our real world. And somehow Fallout, with their bubblegum wrapper of everything being all smiley, the Vault Boy thumbs up and the music, it really lends to this great space of taking post-apocalyptic from scary and foreboding to maybe giving you the tools and the keys to actually change it. Like, that might be something key and fundamental to the Fallout universe, is a feeling of actually being able to affect it. And I think there's a really positive voice that comes through Wasteland Free Radio as well, that this isn't told from an angle of, we're all suffering, everything's terrible, let's all be miserable and sad. This is a very optimistic sounding character, this kid who's growing out his radio broadcasting abilities and formatting power and the rest of it. And so, I mean, there's just something that sticks with that. Welcome to Night Vale really, that was the connection I was feeling earlier. I was alluding to it, but I was waiting to see if you'd bring that up. So that is a really strong genre and really interesting show that this harkens back to for me.
Thinking about Night Vale, I really love what they do, but my regular speaking voice is down here in this register, kind of the same as Cecil's, the narrator from that show. And I was like, that's so similar. I have to like, I have old demos where I'm doing a really slow, like, welcome to Yellowbrook City kind of deep radio voice, and it's way too similar, even though the world is completely different. I'm like, all right, I gotta separate it a little bit. And that's the same separation with Fallout, where it's like, okay, I never want to run into IP trouble, and I don't know Fallout as well as I know this world in my head anyway. And but I don't even know. There are countless references like to Fallout throughout the show, and there's going to be more Easter eggs as I kind of like become a better writer.
For sure.
Yeah, it's but yeah, the manic, like really not hyperactive, but the manic and positive lone transmitter is kind of it's kind of just the bright and fast side of me.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
yeah, I don't know if my brother is going to see this, but my acting, the part of the lone transmitter, is just me pretending to act like my brother did in high school movies. Like, it's really funny when I look at it now. I hope he sees this, and I hope he comments on this.
That's really funny. That hits close to home there. Hello, if you're watching out there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a nice comment below about our guest and your family history and your brother mimicking and miming you there.
Oh, yeah,
but it makes for a really.
I looked up to him a lot. He was my older brother, so I was like, I want to act like him. I want to play drums like him. You know, that was kind of the thing.
I love that. I mean, great to build a character off of something you truly know and can embody. That's right. I think a lot of times the difference between someone who sort of phones in their acting, someone who can actually channel it from some lived experience in your part. And right. I did actually struggle maybe this is just me being dense, but at the very start of the show, because I forget what order I started. I come across you on TikTok. We got acquainted. But then when I went to the actual podcast, I know I listened to like one recent one, and then I went back in the feed. And it took me an episode or two before it even dawned on me that this wasn't formally set in the Fallout universe. And I wanted to give that as like a compliment and a credit to your blending of this story. Because it's so, I think both universes, formal Fallout and the one that you're creating in your head, they have enough give that all of these things can kind of fit into different areas. I'm also not a lore snob that's like, I'm actually, this area has the blah, blah, blah. So pardon me to those people, I'm not that guy. But this show just is one of those ones you can pick up and you can forget any particular genre. You can just keep going. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask, I guess, about that creative liberty it affords you too. Like that, filling out your own space is wonderful. That's your own creative playground. And it sounds like you have a lot of this universe built up in your head there.
Oh, I do. So I've been putting this together for probably 10 years or so. Like it's been building from tiny stories to bigger stories. And now it's become like a sandbox that I get to invite my friends to play in. So like Leo Joylock, who plays Max the Millions, is writing some of the episodes now too. And we've got a couple of cool things going on for the next 3. We have a cool arc we're starting. It's sort of a buddy cop thing between Max the Millions and the Lone Transmitter. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So now I have other people in my sandbox coming up with cool ideas, and we're rolling with most of them. I'm very much it's like slow improv, very yes and, but not. But it's not improv. Most of it is scripted. I do some of the improv on my own when I'm trying to fill out an episode. And but since I have the world in my head, I can kind of just say something 5 or 6 times and finally get a good one. So it's not real improv. It's bad acting is what it is.
I love that. I mean, you clearly are, as you've mentioned, an audio person by trade, and I do want to get into the creative process of this because I am an audio person by hobby. I mean, I just have for 2016, I think is the first time I really got into like I'm going to get a mixer and formal microphone and like figure this out. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way of just jumping in. And sure. There's probably a trillion things I have not learned because, you know, it's at home. And when I hear people do professional productions like to the quality of you do, I know there's a lot of time and energy that goes into that. I know that's not probably any kind of one take, like you just said. You know, this is a stitch it together sort of thing, I would imagine. So could you maybe tell us, where does it go from... Like, you've got some of these stories in your head. You're maybe storyboarding some of them, then maybe you're scripting bits. So could you walk me through that, clean up my muddy understanding?
So I have a really messy system, but I have an outline for everything. So I have an outline, but then the rest of it is just a mess. I have drawings. I have scraps of things. I have just like little notes I left on my phone that I like forgot where they are. So I'm missing parts of my stories that I just don't remember anymore because they just keep coming. And once that started happening, I'm like, all right, I have to write these down, figure this out. So now I kind of have an idea of where the story is going, and now it's up to me to figure out how I'm going to get there, make it believable, make it fun, maybe have a little bit of gravitas. Like I do try to tell human stories while I'm telling science fiction. That's the Star Trek love. I can't not do that. So I'll kind of start with where I want the story to go, and I'll fill it out. I'll usually start with a fun intro. The lone transmitter is nervous, or he's mad at Max, or he misses the courier, whatever it is. Like he's got whatever's going on, and then something interrupts the status quo. That's Max showing up out of the. If you saw listen to the most recent episode, like Max shows up and leads the episode instead, and that throws him off a little bit. So you interrupt the status quo. I just throw 5 or 6 little bits that kind of sound like news stories, but they're really not that surprising. Like there's no fuel. I like to play on the little bits and then exaggerate them. And leaning into the mutant side of things is kind of where I get to do that a lot. Like our power plant is just a guy that generates electricity. His name is the generator. That's it. And I don't have any other details. It's just really loud around him all the time.
I was listening to that in particular, the generator. I was so confused. I'm like, is this an actual? You mentioned in the episode, you're like, he's a biological something rather. And I'm like, okay, so it really is a man. It's not like a machine they call the generator or something like that.
That was one of the things about like building the episodes and building the world is I want to have weird ways of making it feel different but unified. So everyone has the before their name except for Max. It's like the lone transmitter, the courier, the grand reverend, and it's a little weird. Why do we do that? And everyone sort of has a screen name is kind of what I'm going with. So the lone transmitter, his name isn't the lone transmitter. He's hiding his real name. Max isn't for some reason. She's a badass. She doesn't care. But everyone else kind of has a nomiker. Nomiker? Is it? No. What's the word I'm looking for? Nom de plume? A fake name?
Yeah, maybe. I think that might be it.
Or a handle. Maybe a handle would be a good way to go about it. Moniker, yeah. So everyone has their own handle. And that's kind of one of the weird things that I feel like everyone can kind of understand. I remember what my AOL screen name was when I first had AOL. It's Anime Fan 29, which if you're familiar with the show, you might get a reference or two. Yeah. He shows up once in a while. It's just me being a jerk to myself. It's cute.
I'll be listening for that one.
So now fans of your show will now have some inside stuff that other people won't. I don't tell anybody that.
Look at the behind the scenes exclusives you're getting here, folks.
So I'll build an episode around the world a lot, and I'll like try to show the world inside of an episode. Like we're going to a new place. We're going to this beaten up old truck stop that's become a thriving city because that kind of makes sense. The infrastructure for industry is already there, but it's just changed in some way. So I want to make it feel as real as a weird space like this can, and that's also why I set it in a post-industrial town. That's a lot of people can kind of understand what that feels like, and that's the kind of world I came from. I actually had a yellow creek in my neighborhood. It was bright yellow one day because of a plant like having a leak, and I was like, "Why is the yellow creek? Why is it yellow?" So now Yellowbrook City is based off that.
Yes, that makes me think back to the conversation where he's going, the recent water rating testing says that we're not the most extreme. We all know that the color of water should be, I forget if he said it should be yellow probably, but he's like, it's purple. And that really hits home. I mean, we have some of those hyper polluted creeks around here too, not yellow right now, but not to go in them because of, and coal runoff, slurry, stuff like that. So
for us, it was leather tanning. Where I was, it was tanning materials. Yeah, it was really gross. It was
good.
It was bright blue once. It was bright yellow once. Yeah. So I don't really know what the healthiest water is in the world for Wasteland Free Radio, but like purple is potable. But it still does. Lone Transmitter loves it. He thinks it's great, but it's not the best water out there.
Yeah, he freaked out by clear water. That's what I remember. Yeah. Freaked out by that clear water. Don't trust it. Well, there's another aspect to your show I want to get to, and I admire the heck out of this, that you've got wonderful artists that you interweave to the endings of your episode. When you do a send-off to it, you go to some real life artist that I'm very curious about how you're sourcing these people, how that works. Is there like a permission thing? You know, like you're reaching out to them and saying, we'd like to feature you on this show. What's that kind of like, if you could talk about all these musical guests that make an appearance there?
So I got my start professionally in like the Christian rock scene, and like I have a lot of friends that play in bands that kind of left that world, and I left that world too, and that's how I became an audio guy. And what's a radio show without a little bit of music? So the first couple bands are like friends of mine that I met in the industry, and the intro track for like the first 20 episodes is called Bleachers by a band called 11D7, who I used to play shows with all the time. And they're so nice about just like letting me have all their music to use. They're incredibly awesome. So I had a soundtrack ready to go, and I didn't have to worry about that. So that was really cool of them. And then I pulled a couple of my friends. My wife's band is on one of the episodes. She also plays the Courier, and that really works out because we have 2 studios in one house, so we can just do our work, and it's really cute. But so I'll find the bands I know, and I'll use them first. But then if I have an episode that kind of has a mood to it, I'll look for something that suits it. And sometimes I'll have a vague, and this is happening right now, I have a vague idea for an episode. And I have an idea for the way the episode ends. So that's where I really match it. And the best example of this that's out is probably, I don't remember the name of it. Volcano Crossing, I think, is the name of the episode. It's in the first season, right before the end. If you listen to it, there's a real chill end to it, and everything feels kind of okay in the world, at least for a second, even though there's a brand new volcano nearby. And I move into this song called World is on Fire by a band called Eerie, and it reminded me of Bo Burnham's song, the one big one that everyone knows from him, and I can't remember the name of it. It's telling you the world is on fire, but it's okay. Like we'll figure it out. And I was like, I need a real chill kind of calm episode, because the next episode was our finale. So I kind of like will sculpt the season with the music a little bit, and it's a whole process.
That makes sense. I mean, the idea of you using that music to kind of cross and co-inspire some of the actual writing would be, I think a really powerful one out of there too. Like, yeah, but this is I think what comes from being someone who's so deeply in the audio scene. I mean, awesome to hear that you and your wife have a different recording studios in the same house. That's phenomenal. That's the dream.
Hers looks a lot nicer, but mine does a lot more like loud music.
Sure. That's badass. I really like that. You got some nice light in there too. Got some good views maybe. But just really cool to hear you interspersing that. And like you said, what's good's a radio program if it doesn't have some music to it? I think people who have that sort of holistic approach to gathering and recreating it, that's a very rare talent out there. I think people who can see. Because it's a multimedia project. You're not just doing writing of a script. You're doing that plus acting plus organizing some maybe guests coming in, like you're saying, to the show to play these characters.
It's a full producer job.
Yeah, that is a full thing, and to be acting in it. How much time does it take you to get a single episode together? If you have any loose idea.
The first one took me weeks because I just didn't know my format yet.
Sure.
But then it went from weeks to I could probably knock it out in like 40 hours. And now like I'm going to sit down and start recording the next one probably tomorrow, and I'll probably have it done by the end of the day.
Wow. Wow.
What I might do is I may have some parts for some other actors, so I'll just kind of voice those first and then write them and give them to them. So, but all my heavy production, all my sound effects, all my musically inclined stuff should be done by the end of the day tomorrow. But I don't have the track for my musical guest yet. I have to ask them for it still. I'm really excited. It fits the end of the episode perfectly, and I forgot the song existed until like yesterday. So,
That's pretty awesome. So now another nerd question, going deep on it. What sort of program do you use for this sort of audio engineering, like a DAW or something like that? What's your
Yeah.
setup like?
So I use Logic for most everything. It's I bought it like 10 years ago or whatever, and it's still paying off. It was the best $200 I've ever spent, and I can use the soft synths in it to bring in some sound effects, and I really understand its workflow. I know where everything is, and I used to like produce a little bit of music with bands, so like this is a lot less complicated than that. But sometimes I still have like 16 tracks that I'm mixing through because I have different sound effects or sound effects that sound like they're in the distance. Yeah, so it's it's that's when I start taking more time. If I really want to make it one of those really deep episodes with a bunch of stuff going on, I want to make it as immersive as possible. But sometimes I just want to talk at the radio, talk at the microphone.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like to ask that sort of question because I noticed that audio people from all different walks, you can get some of the same caliber, same quality, amazing shows. And it's just so interesting to hear how this feels like such a grassroots kind of area, people who are doing audio engineering. Like it seems like one of those communities that people have their own way of going about it. And what I'm trying to say is that regardless of the software, regardless of a lot of limitations, when people are doing their audio work, making soundscapes, making the rest, people always have a way that they find whatever program, whether it was a nice beefy paid one, Logic rocks. I like that. We've had some guests that have done it completely on like freemium, kind of low
Yeah.
grade, so to speak,
Yeah,
stuff. And it's
Audacity is used by a couple of my actors. They track stuff on Audacity. It's fine. Yeah, there's no
absolutely.
there's no one right way to do audio. There's a wrong way to do audio. If it breaks, you're doing it wrong. But if it works and if it sounds good, it really doesn't matter what you're using. And that's kind of how I approach the live audio world where I work. Like not during the day, it's always at night. But like that's if someone's doing something different, but it's still working. It's still working. It's fine.
Exactly. I think that's just a very interesting thing, all in all. And it's a community that doesn't get enough love and attention and talking about. I feel like the video side of things, and this is my perspective, and I feel like the video side of things gets a million more YouTube tutorials for it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we'll show you how to do every little thing, and it's graphics and this and that, and that's great. But then you go and you search up audio questions, or you're looking to improve something, and it is just more of a sparse space. There is information out there, no doubt. This isn't to sound dejecting or anything to anyone that's curious. There are tons of great channels, but it is, I guess it's because it's that heard medium, not the seen medium, that you find the same amount of material out there. You see a lot of the visuals, you don't hear a lot. But you did just mention you have guests using different softwares and things like that. So I'm curious, how does that kind of collaboration aspect work? You said you're going to maybe voice some of these lines, write them out for the guests. What is that interchange process like? Like, when you kind of scripted an episode, you provide them with lines, they record, send back to you, or something different there?
Well, we do a couple of different things. So my two main collaborators are Kadron. You can find him on TikTok at All Religious Rejects. I love that one. And you can find my other one, Leo Joylock, at Leo Joylock. They're my two main collaborators. So I will write up a script. I'll send it out. We'll all look at it. And a couple of days from then, whenever we can figure it out, we'll jump onto Discord and I'll record my parts. They'll record their parts. And they will send me their recordings. That way there's no digital artifacts left over. Like the way we're doing it, there's probably going to be some digital artifacts. But if it's all recorded natively and then sent, it's just the noise of the room. And so they'll record it, they'll send it to me, I'll cut it up, I'll use some things, I'll kind of edit and still leave it kind of a surprise for my actors once in a while. Like they don't really know what they're getting, but they still know their part of the story. Because my actors are also my fans and my friends, so it's kind of cool. So with those interactions, it's all through Discord. But with the creative side of it, the writing, I'll just like Leo and I will just text each other for about 20 minutes and just like throw ideas at each other, and we finally land on one, and then I start writing, and it's kind of cool that way because I have a lot of energy going into it, and other collaborations though, like we've done crossover episodes, and I think I found you because my friends were on there. Welcome to the Wastes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I discovered them like right after I published the show, and I was like, oh, cool, another one. All right, awesome. And about I don't know, maybe a year in, I was like, hey, I have a Christmas special that I want, like a holiday special, and I want to make it real stupid, and I want to make it like the Christmas or the Star Wars holiday special, and like make it silly and not really make it important to the story, but make it good. And he's like, yeah, I'm in, whatever. And so Grim was in it. His partner Beth, I don't remember her name. I think it's Beth. They were both in it. I wrote a part for them. He's like, hey, this sounds like our character's cool. I'm just gonna fix some stuff. And I'm like, yeah, do your thing. Make it your character. We gotta make it perfect. So we just had this fun crossover of universes with zero stakes. That was just fun, silly, and it shows his gritty universe compared to my weird universe. And it was a fun contrast to see. And the next one we're working on, can I talk about it yet? No, I can't talk about it yet. Our next crossover is happening. We've got some people who aren't podcasting at all. They're just writers and creators, and they're going to jump in and do voices too. It may be a Halloween special, but it might still just be a holiday special. I think I might still I make a spooky Christmas. You know what I mean?
Spooky Christmas is what's up.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
We're going with a spooky holiday special. Well, that's what I'll give you right now.
Well, what fits the wastelands and such like that better than spooky holiday? Yes, you're right.
Know what? I'll
Grim
say
Grinner.
Cryptids. There will be cryptids, or at least a cryptid involved. I gotta get in. I gotta help the Fallout 76 people. I gotta give them some Appalachia, or maybe not Appalachia cryptids, but cryptids.
Cryptids. We need more cryptids. That's the moral.
We do.
Of it.
Cryptids for everybody.
That's such a fun avenue of study and interest. And somewhere around here, I just am sitting on. There was a time during COVID when one of my friends and we started podcasting about paranormal stuff, because what else are you going to do when you're stuck inside and you want to, we were a bunch of stoners and having fun and just learning stuff, and we went deep into learning the origins of a lot of cryptids, and that's just a fascinating area I want to leave open to people. It's like when you chase these stories back, so often you do find a Scooby-Doo mystery at the bottom of these, where, like you were saying with the tanning, polluting the water, like a lot of these cryptids all come from infrastructural failures like Mothman and the Silver Bridge collapse in Point Pleasant. And they're such interesting signposts and signifiers and stuff in our culture, our society. And I mean, you're talking about storytelling. Cryptids are a massive cornerstone of storytelling, at least in the Americas. And so having that brought into it, I think that's just so fun. You say cryptids, I say I'm there.
Yeah, well, we have them here, and we call them cryptids, but they call them the Fae, in
Sure.
the UK. So, and like you have jinns when you go to some Middle Eastern countries. Like, there's always some kind of cryptid, weird stuff in every society. I love it. So, in the post-apocalyptic world, of course, we're going to have cryptids. I just don't know exactly. Oh, you might be able to hear my cat. My station beast is around here somewhere.
Hi, cat.
Hey, baby. You want to say hi?
Random shout out to people too. On the note of cryptids and things, there is a TTRPG that I'd love to try someday. It's called Vyson, and it's not spelled how it sounds, but it is all about, I believe it's Swedish cryptids, and they have some other rule books that go with it. They tackle UK cryptids, and what I find really interesting is I've seen people who are buying these rule books not because they're playing that specific rule set of the game, but because they just want to have this massive bestiary and compendium of all these. I'm assuming most all of them are real life stories, folklore, tales that are then embellished and made into the actual book itself. I can't speak to the accuracy, but I think that's just phenomenal. And
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Pulls at my heartstrings a lot. So this sounds like a wonderful, spooky holiday season episode. Totally down.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, I want to start writing it this week. We'll see. I try to schedule out my writing because I work weekends, and so my week is usually open.
Gotcha.
And I've worked very hard to make it so I can do that.
That is maybe we could talk also regarding kind of your journey in making these episodes. I know you said in your very first, when you were without format, it was taking a lot of time to put together, then 40 hours, and now down to a day. How has that sort of shaped up for the actual episodes themselves? Like, Are you feeling, and I have my own opinion on this, which is a good one. How are you feeling it's gone from the first Inception episodes to where it is now in terms of polish, in terms of the functionality of having those guests in there? Like, are you at a state where you're pretty happy with its sort of templated format? Is it something you're always pushing and changing? Where do you settle on those sort of things when it comes to repeatability and building future works?
Well, I like the idea of a really quick, solid intro sequence. So, like, I took the song Bleachers from 11D7, and I fell in love with that song during the pandemic when the world ended for everybody. So, like, I'm going to use that song. And now I actually have my own composition on it, and so it's going to be a little bit different, a little more hyper, little more up. But I like to have a nice minute intro and then the show. But I will totally fall into the trap of doing it the exact same way all the time. And so in the most recent episode, I just changed it up a little bit, and I feel pretty good about it. And no one has said anything about not liking it, so I'm okay. But
Yeah. Go ahead, please continue.
I am open to changing my format, but it's got to like make sense.
I think that that's a trap for a lot of creators in general. This isn't applying to you in any cautionary tale. I just mean the idea that, speaking personally and what I see at large, hearing across the space, that without template, we could sit here, we could talk for 6 to 12 hours into the microphone about Star Trek and all the rest. And that's great for us. We would have a blast. But the audience out there goes, oh, I don't have the time for that. This is muddy. I don't understand. You've gone to and from too many topics. And so we template, right? We come up with a format that's like, okay, intro, middle chunk, outro, here we go. But of course, for any medium, the risk is falling into a doldrum with that. Okay, I'm waking up, I'm going to work, I'm coming home type of energy. And so I always wonder how people either consciously, subconsciously, maybe they do it through patterns or other things, how they confront that in their own life when it comes up. Because when it hits me, I like your approach there, which is just tweak a little bit of this and kind of see what falls in place afterwards.
When I was putting the episodes together and it was taking a long time, a lot of that was, again, like without having the format, without knowing what I really wanted to do story-wise, that slowed things down. But once I had the format, well, now I need to write 20 minutes of material, and I know exactly how much time I have to take up, or like 15, 25 minutes. Like I have constraints to work within, and that kind of helps me focus in my writing a little bit and tell the story that needs to be told in that episode. So that kind of really helps the crafting of it, and just getting better at production and automation, changing my volumes here and there, and doing a couple of other more super nerdy like audio things, which I'm so happy to answer questions. If anyone has like slip me a DM about a sound question, I'll help you out as best I can. I'm more than happy to share that kind of information.
What's up. That's what's up. So kind of getting, as we get closer to the end of this episode, into the latter half of it, some questions about your audience. You mentioned a second ago, no one's kind of given you any feedback per se about the switch to that one. What sort of audience engagement do you get with that? You mentioned a lot of the people participating in the show are family and friends that you've got for listeners, fans of the show. So how is that interaction? Like, have you had... have you brought any fans in to do like a portion of the show? Is that something you are open to in the future? What's that space look like for you?
Oh man, we have a couple things right now that involve fans. Our people on TikTok are a lot more like active than anywhere else. Instagram is a place for like people my age now, it seems, and people my age don't really like the show. In their 40s. Some of them do, but like Instagram is not like a super hopping place.
Correct.
The way TikTok is. And so a lot of the people on TikTok, they comment like their own little like lore ideas for their own world, and that's really cool. I like seeing people be creative. I don't care. It's awesome. And I have some people that like have music, like, hey, I'm in a band. Can I be on your show? I'm like 100%. Send me a link to your Bandcamp. I'll pick a song. And I'll like time it so a band will release a song and I'll show it like a week before as like a a little sneak peek, and I've done that a couple times with fans and friends. A couple fans have come in to do parts on the show. We've got some members of the Zombie Choir, are people that found us on TikTok, and we have there's one episode someone actually called in with a voice and like recorded something. He gave me a few different examples. I'm like, yeah, perfect. I'll use that. That's really cool. I love it. So then I credit them and that kind of stuff. There is someone I'm bringing in now. I have a character who exists in the show already. You've not met them, but you know they exist. They don't have a voice. They've only been talked about. And I've cast the person, and I'm giving them a whole lot of... They're a fan of the show. I didn't know them beforehand. I'm casting them. They're helping me develop the character, and we're like they're going to be a really pivotal part of the next phase of the show. And it's really cool. So I'm for the first time trusting strangers from the internet again. You know what I mean?
For sure. That's so cool. I mean, I've kind of already alluded to it. I'm probably a broken record, but I will say I love when people are working this sort of multimedia scape. It's just something that always attracts me, and I love this concept of bringing in the people who are the listeners. I say this all the time, but there's a program that inspired me a decade ago that had a bunch of call-ins and recorded segments that people, like you said, would just call in. They'd do a skit. This was about World of Warcraft, of all things, 10 plus years ago, and they would just leave these in character things. They would do, some people would just call in and give like updates on stuff, and they would tail end the episode with these. And this was back when podcasting was truly like the Wild West. I mean, I think shortly before, people were still just downloading the MP3s and stuff off of whatever site. But this was just when iTunes and all that was now starting to get a little formalized. It totally shaped me formatively. I'm so inspired by that, and I love hearing that you've got that going on for the show, because who else is going to be more passionate about being a part of it than your own fans? I mean, of course, there's professional voice actors you can work with in various ways, and that's great. But
yeah, we might do that someday.
Something extra when you also have the people who are the flesh and blood of the show in themselves, like that they're just as invested as anyone. But you're teasing maybe someday professional actors. Is that a plan?
I would love to hire Ashley Birch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which this is one of the I did this for one of the other episodes. She featured on a song that we featured from the band Dawn of Jane. She's on the song, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, cool, I'm gonna put Ashley Birch's song on my show. Why not? And it was really cool. I do not remember the name of it. It's 2 or 3 episodes ago, but it'll be a nice surprise for people. But I would love to have Ashley Birch voice a character. I think she's phenomenally talented. So I'm putting it into the universe. We'll see.
If anyone out there has a contact Ashley Birch, get these people linked together. Tag Ashley below.
I laugh at anything she's done, and like I've been a fan since like early YouTube. So it's like I'm like, come on, I got to do it. I'll pay for it, of course. I just got to have a budget first.
Sure. Oh, sure. And that's the wonder to all of this stuff, is so many of the greatest productions out there that I see, and I'm ranking your show in this list, that we have people out there in our community who are producing phenomenal work. And most of the people producing what I consider the most top tier work are doing it at a non-existent budget, a shoestring budget, a very personal hobbyist budget, like whatever people are. I mean, this show is again one of making like we make almost no money off it, but we do it because, well, I do it. I say we. I'm talking about the voice in my head here. We, the guy who's manning the laptop, who's on the microphone. We, the scheduler. I love doing this, and that's why I just show up all the time, and it impresses me to no end. You clearly have like you say, your career facilitates this in many ways. Like I'm sure a lot of the gear you have is stuff you might not have gotten probably unless you were in it for the day gig. That's my guess and my assumption. But to hear, you need a bigger budget to start paying people, folks out there. We need some investors in this community. We need people to jump in on some of these shows that are really good stuff. I mean, your show could be. I mean, if we were in a different decade, this is higher quality than the formal, what were they, CBS radio dramas. You can find this all archived on the internet, but this stuff is like 10 times the quality. It's just, we live in different times.
Yeah, there's a lot of media out there, and so like I'm not looking to. I'm expecting to make a living at it at some point, but not just on this show. I have a couple of others that are in production right now. We're just not releasing anything yet, so I'm not going to talk about it yet. But if you follow me on TikTok, you can probably find the other one that we have previews for. Um, excuse me, but crap, I forgot what I was going to say. But thank you for like including us in the best of like what's out there right now, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. And when I don't consume a lot of post-apocalyptic media anymore because I don't want it to color my story too much. But once
Sure.
once I'm done with an episode or done with a chunk of episodes, I'll just like, okay, I'm going to jump in. Like I didn't watch the Fallout series until like 6 months after it was out. And I was on the road for a couple days, and I'm just going to watch all of this in 2 days. And it was awesome. I was so happy with it.
Same.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that's again, forgot what your question was, but I did want to say thank you.
Don't know either. Now
Okay.
I'm too busy just listening and riffing off it. Well, I guess I have a question built right off of that one, which is, okay, so you go through periods of kind of tuning out the rest of that media. Makes total sense. I've heard a lot of composers do that. I think that's just a really solid way. A lot of screenwriters and things. You can't, if you're enjoying and absorbing other media while you're writing something, really good chance you might accidentally start recreating that media. So you tune out for a bit. But when you tune back in, this is always a point in the show I'd like to ask people if you have people you want to shout out, whether they're like directly part of your crew that, does anything crossing over, like Grim Grinner, of course. But are there other creators that we don't know of here yet, other programs that are really inspiring to you or that you love to binge? Because, again, share like community. These are people I want to talk to. If they're the ones inspiring you, let's hear out more voices. Are there anyone you'd like to give a special shout out today to on this show?
So, I mean, I've got to do Welcome to the Wastes, and they have another one, Double Radio, which is way more Fallout centric, and he's like really good at that. I'm excited to see what he does with it. The I don't really consume all that much right now. I'm kind of in one of those stints, but like if I'm on a hike, for example, I throw on Welcome to the Wastes and I'll just kind of have it going, and it's like I'm listening to the radio in a game, but I'm just like on a hike somewhere. And so they're one of them. And I mean, I watch a lot of Star Trek right now because I'm introducing my wife to it. So like, so that's kind of a lot of what's going on right now. We're in Voyager. I'm like, we've kind of tested a bunch of stuff, but I'm like, you know what? We're gonna go with Voyager first, and then we kind of go back and touch on other things once in a while. So I'm in super Star Trek mode right now. Sadly, I've been there my whole life. I'm trying to get out.
No. Don't leave. Or maybe, okay, so maybe the end half of this program then does need to be dedicated. I mean, it's not half. We got a little bit of time here left, but I want to talk Star Trek if you got
let's
time.
do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're introducing the wife the very first time to Star Trek. She's never seen any series before, is that right?
She knows about it, but she never really watched it. I think she's probably seen an episode or two.
Got it. I started with Voyager, and I mean, I love the series. I know that's one of the ones that gets a lot of flack from a lot of people out there. All the Star Trek series have some amount of production quality. We can talk about script writing or other things that fall a little flat.
People that love Star Trek love to hate Star Trek for some
reason.
Yeah.
Sure. I find myself in the camp of absolutely addicted and in love with the 90s shows. Voyager, TNG, DS9 on repeat. I could live with those, but I'm curious, what are the ones that you rank up in your favorite Star Treks?
Deep Space Nine is the best for me. I know it's not the way Roddenberry envisioned Star Trek, but we also introduced the Founders, and he did not envision the Founders. So things are going to change. I love DS9. Voyager will always have a place in my heart as like DS9 Lite. It's almost DS9. And Next Gen, there are like 25 episodes that are just perfect. And in the movies, I'm all about the movies until Insurrection. I think all of them are great until Insurrection, and the Nemesis was really bad. But I will my always rewatch though. I will probably rewatch Star Trek 4 if it's on TV. Like if it just happens to be there, and I'm like, oh, if I'm at a hotel or something, and I'm flipping through channels, and there's Star Trek 4, I'm totally gonna watch it. Yeah, but you get amazing. a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff out of Star Trek though, and that was one of the the weird draws for me was like, okay, when First Contact came out, which no spoilers on this one, but it takes place in a post-apocalyptic Earth, and it's wonderful. It's a scary story. It's a zombie story too. Like it's everything you want in a post-apocalyptic story.
That's a
but then
great
you
point
have
of tying that together.
yeah, you have the DS9 episodes where they're back in the districts, which feels a lot like last September when it aired or when it was supposed to have taken place. It's kind of what it feels like now.
Yes,
Um,
very much.
for a lot of people. Some people might not say that. That's fine. But the all of the post-apocalyptic stuff, the end of the world in Future's End from Voyager is another great one where like they're trying to stop the world from ending because of like time breaking and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Which we might do time travel in my show. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't have to. You know, I have
Yes.
I have cassette tapes from the past. You know, that's all I need.
Yeah. That's a good point. You got a constantly baked in form of time travel from it.
Yep.
A
We do
perpetual
joke
past
about
that's live.
was it one of the characters was referred to as a time traveler, and like no one knows if he actually is. And I don't know if he actually is. I've left that one open for now.
Those are some cool stories, though, too. Those I don't know if you've gotten into those across the internet ever, but the stories of like the man out of time who appeared and disappeared. Then I think those are fun. They're very unsubstantiated stories from everything you can find.
Sure.
There's very little backing them, but I
they're
still
fun,
think
they're
that
fun
idea
urban
of
legends.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're big urban legends.
Yeah, the creepypastas, right? Is that where people find them? Yeah. So any of the Star Trek stuff that like touches the end of the world or touches on the more human aspects of their storytelling, I really liked a lot of those. And I couldn't stand the Wesley Crusher because he reminded me of me as a kid.
Oh, I see.
I couldn't stand him. And looking back, I'm like, oh man, poor Wesley. Everybody was so mean to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
poor
feel bad
kid.
about that. Yeah.
Poor Wesley. I know he's one of the I don't know, most probably like heartfelt like characters in that community. I was just watching a Jonathan Frakes, whatever. Sorry, I'm butchering Riker's real life last name, but he was talking about Crusher, and I'm just brain fart right now talking about Will Wheaton. There we go. Will Wheaton. He's talking about how bad it was for Will Wheaton, but they didn't know at the time how much weird family pressure he was in and what all that's about and like how much the show was doing. And like, it's a hell of a thing to look back on and know, like, especially once you start peeling it back and you're part of like a layer of production and you start wondering like, dang, how would I deal in a situation like that? Like, I'd like to have stuck up and, whatever for those people, but
the culture has gotten a lot better, at least inside Paramount. Now with the buyout and stuff, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. But I know a few people in there just from like weird industry connections that would take too long to connect the dots. But I remember learning something from just social media that Will Wheaton was asking for a raise, and instead they gave him a promotion as a character. And he's like, "Cool, I'm going to go tell my landlord that my character got a promotion." Like they were treating him that badly.
What? They gave his character a promotion.
Yeah. Instead of giving him a raise or anything like that. Yeah, I imagine he got a raise out of it eventually because he was pretty pissed about it. But so the Gene Roddenberry camp was like really forward thinking, and that's great. But there was a lot of I've heard the term like the phrase, you're so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. Like he was so focused on the future that he didn't like pay attention to the things around him and the culture of his production company for a while. He was also addicted to cocaine. What do you want? But
there you go.
Who wasn't? It was the 70s and 80s.
It was a very different time. Wow, that's fascinating to dive into, and I find it really. I should go down a rabbit hole and start binging like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff from the 90s shows that I love so much.
There's so much though, and like I did a lot of it when I was younger, so like I have a lot of it left over. But there's so much to go through it now. But you look at the new Star Trek shows though, and the company culture is clearly much better.
Good.
Like it just you can see it in the interactions by the actors, and they're pretty quite candid about things. I don't really love the new Trek shows, I have watched most of them though. I love Lower Decks. I will certainly give them that.
Lower Decks is great. I do like Strange New Worlds. I think that one. I'm a philosophy Trek guy. Like I really like, and this is where I cling to Voyager and probably TNG and DS9 the most. Is that I think those three have in different order. They all have different stakes in the ladder, but they all have a way of balancing combat with deep theorizing of who we are as people. Is the Doctor a real human, a person? Does he have full personhood and rights to his own media that he creates? Like, there's so many interesting philosophical questions that come up in that show. And I feel like the new ones, probably because they're trying to cater more towards a TikTok style audience to this day and age, they definitely ham up the gunfights. And my friend and I have started watching this latest season of Strange New Worlds together, and we have different parts of it that we lovingly pick apart. Sometimes maybe not so lovingly because we're scrutinizing the modern company. Like, come on, some of this stuff's weird, but there are some really strange like lapses in authority that they give these characters, and I suppose all of Star Trek's probably had a good bit of it, but. The new Trek for me is a pretty hit and miss thing. I watch them all, but I want more theory in there. I want more meat and potatoes and a little less CGI gunfight.
Yeah, I have a lot of good things to say about all of the shows. I enjoyed Discovery when I watched it. I was like, wow, this is new. It feels like Star Trek. That's cool. I didn't like some of the choices. I think having another secret sibling of Spock's was kind of lazy, and we could have done something else with that, but that's okay. But because we love and gotta hate Star Trek.
Yeah.
So they named Paul Stamets, the character Paul Stamets, because of the mycologist Paul Stamets in the real world, which I understand wanting to do that for the course of that show. That makes a lot of sense. But in the Federation, the naming conventions of starships is to name them after people oftentimes, or places. The Hood, Grissom, the Crazy Horse. Some of them are people, some of them are places. They should have named the ship the USS Paul Stamets because it was a mushroom drive ship, a spore drive ship.
That would have made
That's what they should have done, and they should have named him something else. That's my biggest beef with that show. That's it. That's my biggest beef with it.
That's fair. I do have more beefs with it that I didn't. They're related to that. I feel like a lot of but this is, again, I'm not trying to make this into a whole, like, let's critique Star Trek show, but I do think Discovery of all of them in the modern era deserves some strong criticism for how they position some of those characters. Because I'm speaking as an LGBT guy myself, that as a gay guy, I felt like Stamets' character is sort of wedged in there as like this unlikable one. And I've worked a little behind the scenes in the Hollywood sphere on the acting casting side of things more. And that show's one of those ones where I do feel like they're chasing diversity boxes to check, which I want my shows to be diverse. Like I'm a white guy saying I love having about as much diversity as you can have. It makes a richer plot. It's more accurate to real life. But I feel like Discovery was one of those ones where, like, very lazily, I feel like they were like, okay, no, we really need to formulaic this. And it missed, I think, like you're kind of saying there with the name, like Stamets, who he's named, who's this guy's personality? What's the interplay to these things? I think Discovery is one of the shows where they decided to step away from the Federation's this very loving, like, familial place. And with that whole ship being this kind of dark op sort of thing to begin with, it winds up, you get these characters who are sort of playing against one another. They don't trust one another. They annoy one another. And hey, if you love Discovery out there and you love that stuff, then they succeeded in making a show for a different audience. But I don't know. I feel like they had a lot of swings and misses in that one with plot points. Like you said, some lazy stuff there with Spock's family. The modern stuff feels like it's a little afraid to actually trek into its own area at times. But like you say, can't love them without hating them.
Yeah, it's true. There's a good thing and a bad thing to all of those shows. And yeah, with Stamets, he wasn't all that likable, and neither was Gil. Like they were and it's important to note that they were a gay couple that they were at each other's throats all the time. Like good to see. It's good to see a gay couple that's not getting along. That's awesome. But it wasn't enjoyable to watch. So thank you for the realism, but I'm trying to escape the world at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's that, but the shoehorning of diversity is an interesting thing because it definitely felt that way in Discovery, it doesn't feel that way in Strange New Worlds quite as much.
Yeah.
And I feel like the diversity is still pretty well balanced because it's based on like the original crew. So like you already kind of have that baseline of diversity that we got from the 60s with some changes. I've seen the first few episodes of it. I thought it was weird that they immediately gave me a story about Uhura, and I wanted a story about any of the new characters.
Sure.
And like three episodes in, I'm like, I don't want any more Uhura. I know her very well, thank you. But I know that Discovery and Strange New Worlds, as well as like if you look at the Marvel TV shows, because I'm a an equal access nerd. I just like all of it. Those shows aren't for me. Like Miss Marvel, that wasn't for me. That was for like little brown girls in New York City who have a crush on two boys at once. Like that's what that show was for. And the person I was watching it was like, she's like, I've never been represented by anything better than this show in the nerd world. I'm like, that's awesome. I love that. And same with She-Hulk. She-Hulk's not for me. She-Hulk is for the busy professional woman like that wants a legal comedy. I loved She-Hulk. I thought it was great. So one of the things about like how we like love and hate Star Trek, I don't hate any Star Trek, but some of the shows just aren't for me. Strange New Worlds I'll probably get back into. I didn't like the musical episode. I skipped ahead. I didn't like it.
My friend did the same.
Yeah, it was fine, and like I understood I missed some of the emotional payoff of the characters in the show, but they did a good job of showing me what I missed. The musicality of it, I was just kind of like with. So, but I love Anson Mount as Christopher Pike. He's my zaddy. He's great. When he showed up in Discovery, spoilers, I was like, yes, after Lorca, this is what I need. I need safe captain. And
great point. I certainly emphasize that one. I couldn't agree more.
And it's not because he's handsome. It's only because I felt like he's going to take care of my crew after that nonsense. Like he's the guy that can handle it. And I was like, cool, I'm going to watch the show for this season as well. I lost it somewhere in season 3. The time travel thing just ruined it for me.
Yeah, and I mean, again, not to make this a Discovery podcast, but I do feel like season 3, there are some very, very loose spoilers. I will keep them very minimal, but there is writing in that takes some what we could see as like powerful diversity characters, and it just completely like underwrites them. Big love plot where I'm keeping real broad strokes for all the folks out there that. There's a love plot where a strong woman becomes all about a man, and that's the only thing. And then, sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
No, I was, I'm right there with you. There's another thing from season 3, maybe season 4, where I was like, okay, you can get away with this, but you better explain it scientifically in Star Trek terms, or else I'm not going to buy it. As I understand it, they did a good job. I didn't finish the show, so I don't know. And I'm like, okay. If other Star Trek nerds said that it's passable, people that I respect, I'm like, all right.
That's good. Well, I think the important thing is, there's one for all of us, it seems, and that's kind of the new offering menu from them is giving us all one. And if I could be happy with my Strange New Worlds, then that's it for me. And to the comment about him being handsome and all the rest, my friend in one of the last episodes, we see a ship in disarray, and he goes, hey, the only thing that's actually put together on that ship is Pike's beautiful hair, perfectly in line, always coiffed perfect as it is. And
I love that it's become a joke in their social media accounts as well, and they're just picking on him. It's wonderful. What a good move to keep him pretty. They did a good job of sticking with what little we knew about Pike and like making him more interesting. And I don't want to spoil the overall notion of that character. The big thing about him, like he has a very good reason for acting differently than anybody else, and he struggles with that knowledge like the whole time, and you see it in almost every episode. So like I gotta give it to Anson Mount. He's fantastic, and I wish Black Bolt got more screen time. We're going back to Marvel on that one.
Well, This brings us to, I think, a wonderful spot to bring this interview to a close, because we got to have our Star Trek time at the end and talk all about your show. I do want to give you a last little bit here to tell people where you're active across social media, that they can go find you. Wasteland Free Radio. We got the TikTok here. We got the Spotify up there, but I hear Instagram too.
Yeah, so we have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have our stuff available for listening on every podcast place you could imagine. You can find me at JS Pitcher Media pretty much everywhere. JS Jeff Stephen Pitcher Media, and that's about it. And I'll happy to. If you want to be on the show, you want your music on the show, like send me a message. I'm 100% down. I love having more people collaborate on this. It's a lot of fun.
That is awesome,
including you, Kyle. If you want to be on this show, I actually have something that your voice is probably like.
Oh,
perfect for, so.
Actually, consider me down for that. If you're interested in, I would do a character for that. That'd be very, very fun. So you heard it, everyone out there. If you're interested in getting involved with Wasteland Free Radio, just a click or two away. Speaking of that, we'll have links in the description for you if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, I've started trying to direct you guys up to the main website now, just so that I don't have so many different descriptions. And if I have to make an edit, there's not a trillion of them. And so, again, YouTube's going to have the beefiest. The website will have stuff. But I always direct our listeners to the Substack. That is where you can put your email in, and you will get emailed when every brand new episode of this appears. Otherwise, I do not spam you because I'm much too lazy for that. I have enough media to create on the side that any email you get is going to be jam-packed with the video version of this, the audio version of it. And to all of you out there, if you get the chance to share this word of mouth, you get to give it a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, a comment, all that stuff means the world in the day and age algorithms where the computer decides if we sink or swim or be shown to others. Your free click can do a world of good for all of us. So be sure to follow Wasteland Free Radio across all the different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, podcast players, all the rest. Get in touch if you want to get yourself on there. I certainly do. So to Jeff, thank you for being on this show. You look like you had something to say there to chime in with.
Can I one more shot to our Patreon campaign as well? If it's a $6 donation, it's a $6 thing, and you get bonus episodes, behind the scenes stuff. You can call into the show. You can do that really anyway, but like you all get first serve, if you're there. So yeah, just follow us for free there too. It's fine. You can do that too.
That is super cool. Well, there you go, everyone. You have it from Jeff. Again, links will be in the description below. So to all of you at home, you take care. Be safe out there in the wasteland. And Jeff, you're welcome to come back through here in the future. So we'll stay in touch and see about checking in with you when you got some new programs to talk about, because you teased a lot today. So I'll keep that on my radar. Until next week, everyone, you take care out there. Well, Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders, that was a fantastic episode with Jeff. Really great to sit down and talk shop on so many nerdy things. And he and I could have talked literally for hours more about Star Trek and so much more. So we had to get a little bit of that in there at the very end of it. And I that was still me in like interview mode. If I were trying to just talk Star Trek with the guy, we could have just all day. But anyway, super cool, super like lucky that his wife's getting to do that whole experience of Star Trek for the first time. I'm slightly, they say slightly envious when you wish you could forget your memories just so you could experience it all again. And that's kind of one of those. Love that stuff. But Jeff absolutely knocked this interview out of the park. Phenomenal having him on. Sounds like I might be able to get a role on Wasteland Free Radio, which would be great. And I do want to tease out that I was interviewed, if you remember Kelly, who came on our show a little bit ago, Kelly, cosplayer from Germany. She had me on their podcast. And if that comes out in a way I can share it with people, I'll be sure to do so. I believe, and pardon me that I'm forgetting this, Kelly, don't take this personally. I'm just having a brain fart today about the name of it. Nuka Cast, I think Kelly has. Nuka Cast. Yes, of course. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to say it wrong. We all got Nuka and Fallout and all this in our names, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to say the wrong thing, but interviewed for their Nuka Cast one. Yep, there you go. You can see that on their Instagram. Anyway, super fun interview. Absolutely loved it. And I want to thank everyone in the community for everything you do. Seriously, when I say that a comment, and all that goes and means the world, it truly does. Go over to overseerkyle.com, though, everyone. Get subscribed. Get involved with what's going on. Come by the Vault broadcast. Just like Jeff talked all episode, we are looking for people to send in some voicemails that can be played in the show. One of my friends corrected me recently and said, Kyle, you need to stop calling them call-ins, or at least he didn't even say it like that, but he said call-ins make people think that you're getting on the line with them, like on the spot, having to do X, Y, and Z. And I said, no. These are voicemails. These are something that they can just open our voicecast .app link and they can it opens on your phone. It asks if you can use the mic and you just talk right into it. It's nothing more complicated than like a Discord or a Telegram message you send to people, or an Instagram one. But we're looking at doing that. We're probably going to shift over to using Instagram as a capture point for it. I can play those right here on my mixer, really nice and easy. So look out for a new Instagram account from me that is one that you can just send a message to. So that will be the future of it all. But if you want to, in the meantime, use that voicecast.app link. It's in the description below. You can send us a message and get it added to the show. But I'm going to stop rambling, everyone. You got your links. You know the Bethesda code for this week is Vault2. Actually, it's probably up there for 15 more days or so, maybe. So Vault2 is the code for you. Save 20% off. You use your BTails code. Save 10% off the TTRPG. Oh, my goodness. You can get it all. But that's it. I'm getting out of here. Because my foot just yanked a cable, folks. Oh no, let's shut it down before he tears it down. Good luck at the Wasteland, friends. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.